Hi, today we're going to talk about your brain on estrogen. Estrogen is key to mental health in women. It increases your serotonin, it increases serotonin receptors, it modifies endorphins, those happy hormones that makes you feel great, the runner's high. It's also neuroprotective. It actually helps to stimulate nerve growth and protect your nerves. It can help to prevent dementia. So estrogen is a really good thing, and when we run out of it, or we're out of balance, when we're menopausal, perimenopausal, we're premenstrual, we become a little estrogen challenged. And when that happens, it affects our brain. So let's talk about that. Number one, estrogen protects your memory. Women who've had their ovaries removed, an oophorectomy, or when they're going through menopause, their memory is affected. That lower level of estrogen will affect their brain function, their cognitive function. It's amazing where estrogen receptors are in your cerebral cortex, the basal part of your brain, the base of the brain, as well as the hippocampus, the striatum. Estrogen is what allows the two halves of the brain to communicate with one another. Estrogen is everywhere in the brain, and it's not just women. Men need it as well. It allows us to multitask. It allows us to be able to do more than one thing at once and to be able to focus and triage what's the most important thing to do. Estrogen is really important for cognition. Number two, estrogen can actually prevent psychosis. It's very interesting. Both men and women will develop psychotic diseases like schizophrenia, but young women who are schizophrenic need a lot less medication and are at way better control than men are until they reach the perimenopause and menopausal ages. And once their estrogen levels start falling, their schizophrenia will get much worse. And we see cycling with the schizophrenia and psychosis when estrogen falls premenstrually and during their menstrual cycles. So it's not just the psychosis of schizophrenia, it also affects bipolar condition. Bipolar patients cycle more when they're estrogen challenged, when they're going through severe PMS, when they're postpartum after a baby's born, or when they're going through perimenopause or menopause. So estrogen tends to block excessive dopamine activity to prevent that mania and that paranoia and those delusions. So keeping your estrogens in balance are really important, keeping your brain chemistry in balance. Number three, I call estrogen the joy hormone. It's because it increases your serotonin. Women who tend to have postpartum depression will tend to have menopausal depression. That is because they're very sensitive to the estrogen going from the very high of pregnancy to bottoming out after the baby's born. And so we've got to be really careful. If you had postpartum depression in the past, you're going to be a little more prone to depression in menopause. You're more estrogen sensitive. Estrogen really helps with your sense of joy, your sense of pleasure. I actually had a personal experience with this. Going to Hawaii, it was right after my mother's memorial. Now, she had died the year before, and I hadn't had time to grieve her death. But I put on this big memorial, and I was actually thinking I was doing pretty well. And then my husband thought it'd be a nice idea we'd go on to Hawaii and just have a relaxing vacation after the memorial. So we did that, and I was so sad the entire time we were in Hawaii, and I couldn't put my finger on it because it felt different than right after Mom died. I literally tell my husband, I had no joy. And it wasn't until we came back from Hawaii when I'm going through my makeup kit and I noticed I had brought 2 vials of progesterone and no estrogen. As soon as I started using my bioidentical estrogen, I could feel my joy factor coming back. Estrogen definitely influences your moods. And joy, the ability to have that sensual aspect of joy and just get joy out of the simplest things, like snorkeling when I was in Hawaii, or the heat of the sun. Estrogen is that important. And when we're missing it, we're not going to experience pleasure. So it's super important we keep our estrogen levels in balance. And I want you to be aware of balancing out your body in a whole. You can balance out your body by supporting your hypothalamus. Taking Genesis Gold will help, and you can get more information about it here and how it helps to keep your hormones in balance, especially through menopause, if you're infertile, you have polycystic ovary syndrome, or PMS. So keep your estrogen in balance and keep happy and healthy. Thank you.